Hi folks, welcome to the Prepared Homestead. This is Travis. Thank you all for stopping by to watch. The sun finally came out today. Warmed up a teeny bit. Still kind of chilly, but like I said this morning, big warm up planned for this weekend. By Sunday, it's supposed to be like in the upper 60s. Yep. But next week, we're talking highs in the 30s and 40s, maybe some snow in the forecast. So it's coming. I know that Eastern Tennessee got some snow in the last couple of days, have family over there. So it's coming to us eventually. I mean, it is that time of the year, so you kind of have to expect it, I guess. News today, the biggest thing I saw in the news that I thought I'd share, most of it's just the same kind of talk that's been going on, because it looks like that the relationship, not that there was much of one to begin with, between Russia and Britain is getting worse. They're both kind of, we're going to attack you, we're going to attack you, all this kind of stuff. New York Times had a piece talking about that there could be nuclear war by Christmas. Yay. And then there are several countries lining up saying that they're going to arrest Benjamin Netanyahu if he steps foot in their country because the International Criminal Court has issued a warrant against him. But I thought that the bigger thing that I saw in the news is that Russia struck and blew up a thermal energy plant in Ukraine. Not nuclear energy plant, but a thermal one. And that's pretty significant because up until now, I think, at least based on what is being told, and I mean, that the information that we're getting over here most of the time probably isn't correct, but based on what we're told, it looks as if Russia has played pretty fairly up until now. I'm not saying that they've not done some ruthless things and that there hasn't been a lot of death and destruction, but a lot of infrastructure has been, for the most part, avoided. Yes, it has been struck a few times, but this is a pretty significant thing, taking out this big power plant. It'll most certainly escalate things. Ukraine has been, in the last few days, lobbying a lot of Storm Shadow and ATACMS missiles into Russia, and now they're asking for Tomahawk missiles. And if they were to get Tomahawk missiles, the range is considerably longer. In fact, if a Tomahawk missile was in Kiev, they could strike Moscow. They'll go that far. That puts Moscow. Right now, Moscow is out of the range for pretty much all these missile systems, but Tomahawks, they're a lot more powerful, a lot bigger, and the range is a lot further. No word yet, though, on whether they would get those, but there was another New York Times article. Now, it's the New York Times. You don't have to believe it. I wouldn't necessarily believe it. But stating that there is talk, they have a source, right? What's that source? That there is talk in the Biden, circles, officials, to potentially give Ukraine some of their old nuclear warheads. Now, apparently, I mean, we all know that Ukraine at one point, at least you should know this, had a lot of nuclear capabilities. And apparently, the United States is in possession of that, is what it's indicating, that they're just sitting somewhere. And the rumor mill is, according to the New York Times, is that there are people suggesting that the United States should give them back their nuclear weapons and let them decide what to do with them. I would guess if that happens, and I don't know that it will happen. I'm leaning on the side that it won't happen. But if it did happen, that would be a major escalation. But anyways, so things are heating up because they're heating up, because they want a war. The globalist elite, they want a war. That's the best way to get their agenda passed, because here's what's likely could happen. And I'm basing this on what's spoke of in Scripture. Big, massive world war, potentially even nuclear war. I think there's a good chance of it becoming nuclear. And then all of a sudden, in complete desperation, global peace is made, a peace deal that is made that is unlike any other ever in human history. And the whole world, because of the desperation of the vastness of this war, would come together in global peace, create some global union, global currency, global religion. That fits very, very well with Scripture and with their New World Order, Agenda 2030, Great Reset plan. They fit really well together. I'm not predicting it. I'm not saying anything. I'm just saying that it could very likely happen that way. So keep getting ready. This weekend could be pretty crazy. Who knows? We've seen that before, and we've also seen nothing happen before. So we'll just have to wait and see. I want to let you know that over on my locals channel, and there's always a link down in the description. I was doing it for a while, and then I got out of habit, so I'm getting back into it, of doing what I call a prepper medical responder series. And so what this is, the concept behind it is, I take my knowledge and my experience of being an EMS as a volunteer, going out on 911 calls, everything from, minor injuries, minor illnesses, all the way up to, full resuscitations, vehicle crashes, burns, serious injuries, life flighting someone. Taking what you learn, whether it's going and becoming a first responder, an EMT, even some paramedic level stuff, and trying to pull out of that things that the average civilian prepper homesteader could learn and show it to you in a video. Of course, this isn't any kind of certification. I'm not teaching you how to be a surgeon or anything, but there's more to first aid than putting a Band-Aid on someone or dressing a wound of some sort or putting a tourniquet on them. Those are important to know how to do, but there's so much more that you will probably deal with right now as a homesteader living out in the country, and then definitely in the future. And we always have to remember that part of preparedness is figuring out how we can do it without a system. I mean, that's why you stock up on food, right? If you thought that there was always going to be a food supply in a grocery store available, or that you had access to it, then there would be no need to stock up on food, right? But you stock up on food because it may not be there. So in that same way, we should look at the medical side of prepping. Yes, you need to know how to immediately stabilize someone, whether it's bleeding, airway, circulation, whatever it is. But then what can you do if there is no one to call 911? If there's no 911 to call, if there's no hospital, how much can you do of that to stabilize a situation? And so that's what I'm trying to do with that. The other day, we talked about a person going into shock, all the different types of shock, anaphylactic, septic, there's various levels and types of shock that you can go into, and how, without having more advanced medical knowledge and more advanced medical equipment, can you treat that? Today, I talked about airway, how to manage an airway. That's one of the most important parts of emergency medicine. Part of your ABCs of emergency medicine is airway and managing it. It's more than just knowing how to resuscitate someone through CPR. Sometimes you need to make sure that airway stays open, because maybe it doesn't want to open. Maybe it's not open. Maybe you lose it. And so how you manage that airway is very important. And I show you some tools that you can acquire and how to use them. So if you're interested in learning how to do that, again, I do that over on the locals channel. There's a link down in the description that you can join that and have access to those videos, because a lot of people focus on just, say, stopping the bleed, and that's important. I mean, we teach that. I taught a Stop the Bleed class just a few weeks ago. That's very important to know, but that's like one piece of a very large puzzle when it comes to learning emergency medicine, even at a prepper level. Because you also have to understand that the amount of cases that you will deal with, or that you may come across where you actually need a tourniquet, are actually quite small. It's not too common, because most of the time, if someone has an arterial bleed that is serious enough to use a tourniquet, if it is not stopped within a minute or so, it's too late. So it's not like your neighbor's going to call and say, yeah, I just cut my femoral artery open and I can't stop the bleeding. Can you come help? And you get there and you put it, if it's a full-on arterial bleed in the femoral artery, they're dead before you get there. Most tourniquet use was, the concept of it was developed on military fighting, where someone's right there with you, and when the breach of the artery happens, there's someone there to apply a tourniquet. There's a whole lot more that goes on. So I'm trying to expand your knowledge as best as I can, based on my knowledge and experience and training and certifications and licenses that I have. So again, you can go over to Patreon and learn about that, because it's very important for homesteaders and preppers to have some level of emergency medical knowledge. Folks, it's time to get your houses in order and to prepare yourselves mentally, physically, and spiritually. Thanks for watching. Catch you in the next video.